Grown A Geeks. We are back with your Grown A Geek admin, Brent, as your host for this evening, and the man, the myth, the marvel, the gag, Marvel extraordinaire, Will Parker. How are we doing this evening, sir?
Not bad, not bad. Freaking kid free for the time being, so ready to get some work done.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is. This is just like, hey, what are you doing? Not doing much. Kids are gone. Let's get Loki episode 3 out there. Let's get the folks to know what the Grown Geek admins thought about the episode. And for you, how'd you feel about it for episode 3?
I think it was good for what it was. Just with that. Again, it's not the most exciting episode. I still like two. The rush to get to the person, but a lot of character, talk and stuff like that. Learning a little bit more about the characters and stuff like that, and what random location we're on and what random location they're going to next is still up in the air. Just know that they need to beat feet and get moving. So I mean, as I said, not bad, but not the greatest.
Yeah, personally, I'd have to agree with that. That this was probably the weakest Marvel TV show episode 3 we've seen. WandaVision picked up its pace in episode 3, and that's where we got the whole huge curveball that they had a force field at that time around the town. And then in Cap and Winter Soldier, we had a lot of good stuff going on in episode 3. So this was probably one of the weaker one, but I think it was an essential episode in the sense that we really got to delve deeper into some of the questions that we had because you were curious about Sylvie and trying to figure out more about her and trying to understand her. I just wanted to see where they're going through the door. We both got our answer this episode, so that was pretty nice. Normally, it's a couple episodes off where they just kind of slow burn you anyway, but it was a slower episode. It's not, in my mind, an essential episode that's just going to blow you away, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Um, More or less, they start off, they end up going to the TVA. They're trying to go through Sylvie's plan because we still didn't get a full framework of what her plan was, whether it was take it over, take it down, burn it to the ground, whatever the case may be. It wasn't fully developed or said. So they go there to try and get everything done. They run into Renslayer and two other TVA agents. Loki freaks out, thinks the plan's not going according to what should be done. It's a little wristwatch or time watch or whatever the case may be, wristband. I think it's a wristband. Fall through a door, end up on Lamentus 1, which is where like 90% of our episode takes place. Were you able to find any sort of Easter eggs or something that you missed before at the TVA or in the first couple scenes with going to Lamentus 1?
I didn't really find a bunch of Easter eggs. And to be honest, I didn't even look as hard. Usually, I watch the episode about 3 times at least to try and pick up on stuff. This one I kind of watched once, and like that, and I started scribbling down on paper because I was trying to figure out who was up to what and what was happening. Because Renslayer seems like she's there to protect so like that, but I figure I feel like she's got an ulterior motive, going on there. And we didn't get to really see Mobius at all. So
He was still off, probably chasing that Divergent Trail or Variant Trail.
yeah, so I was like, I'm just kind of curious as to where everybody was doing and what everybody was doing at the time. I wasn't really looking for much. Just again, there's a bunch of sci-fi stuff with the space train and everything so like that, but nothing that really stood out to me.
Yeah, because like with Renslayer, you still get this feeling that when she's told Loki, it was like Loki's like, "Oh, I'll kill her," or no, when Sylvie had Loki's like, "I'll kill him." Renslayer was like, "I don't care." It was the most nonchalant way of saying just, "Yeah, screw this dude. I don't need him." Like, why? This has no meaning or no bearing on what she is or what she's about. And we still don't even know necessarily what her ulterior motive is for letting Mobius continue to kind of have Loki as, that variant agent to help out. It's like there's got to be something in it for her, which we haven't had any inclination of like what that could be. So that's kind of a big question mark for me. But as we got through the train ride, the alien references were apparent. The two guards were named from characters. It was like Corporal Hicks and There was one other name that were both aliens character references. There was a lot of futuristic settings that were akin to like something you saw on Blade Runner, which I guess that was a heavy pull from the creator. They really liked Blade Runner and they wanted to pull that into this futuristic setting. And there's a lot of Doctor Who references just kind of thrown out throughout the episode. And I'm not even a big Doctor Who person. I personally feel the show is a little slow. Did you catch that Kill Bill reference though throughout that episode?
I can't say that I did, to be honest.
When Sylvie went and tried busting down that door and she got blasted back, that was kind of like
Oh, yeah, okay.
the full exact scene of the other chick from Kill Bill getting just ejected straight out the same way. And it was interesting seeing both of them go through and realize that as much as and as powerful as each of them is individualistically, as a duo, they really had a lot they could pull from each other, which is kind of weird considering, they're almost the same character in a sense. But Sylvie has definitely branched out and shown that she is a lot more independent because, as she reveals throughout the train ride, she didn't really have a Frigga. Or if she did have Frigga, it was for a short period of time. She didn't really have somebody to be like, teach her magic like Loki did. And I thought that was kind of a interesting nod to kind of give out that much backstory about this character. Because were you personally concerned, like, with her family history or like what her time frame she came from is?
I'm concerned with everyone's family history because of what she said about where everybody in the TVA came from. So now it makes me wonder, where is everybody? Like, where does everybody lie in terms of families and freaking other versions? Like, I'm really curious right now as to how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, because for her to flat out say, yeah, C20, who I did all this mind work with, she's just a variant too. Literally everyone at the TVA is a variant. And I was like, it brings a lot more light to the fact of C20 having her breakdown. Like, it's all real. It's been all real. Everything I know is a lie. It was all real. I need to go back. And then you kind of saw on the other TVA agent, the chick from your show, the larger African American woman. What was the actress's name? She was also on that other show you're really interested in. She's a very good actress whose name eludes me right now. Which
I can't say her name. To be honest, I can't say it without butchering it.
Yeah, she kind of looked and bewildered and kind of had that same look of just perplexed. She was like, huh. Kind of wondering, like, her backstory was and what was going on with her as well. And it seems that when Sylvie touches you, she unlocks certain memories. And for Sylvie to say that C20s got pulled from Earth, no less. It's like, how many people on Earth throughout this Marvel Cinematic Universe have just been out there causing weird events in the timeline that just weren't supposed to be? Like, what did these seemingly ordinary people do? You know?
I mean,
It's like, were they supposed to go get a coffee one day and instead they went and got, like, tequila shots and that destroyed something that was supposed to happen throughout their...
well, I mean, with everybody that did something, is like, how I want to know how far back this goes and doing stuff, because like I said, B-15, which, like, again, taking a stab at her name, freaking Mosaku, I can't even say the first name. One me. I feel bad about trying to butcher it.
Just B-15.
Yeah, she's supposed to be freaking, like, to me, she has very, a lot of similarities to the very first time, one of the very first, agents and stuff like that, one of the first Minutemen, who was ruthless and just kind of doing things, which means if she was the first one and stuff like that, I want to know when she was pulled and stuff like that and what was going on. That would establish a timeline for me of when the TVA started to come around and do a little bit more. I know it's not going to be the foundation of it, but when the first Minuteman was pulled and put into action, so like that, that gives us a nice little period to know what's going on and when she was pulled from, because it seems like they can pull from anywhere. So she could have been pulled back from freaking the Renaissance era. She could have been pulled back from freaking World War II area. She could have been pulled from goddamn, from cavemen for all we know. Like, we don't know.
There's
So
zero information at this point in time about B-15's personal life, so like trying to speculate on that would just be us down a rabbit hole. Like literally, Mobius could have been a jet ski salesman in the '90s for all we know, and that's why he's so obsessed with the thought of jet skis. Like that is his one memory that he still has, and he's still kind of like, this one pristine point in time, and he's so fascinated by it because that's what he did for a living. It was just what he knew, what he did, or maybe he was the jet ski inventor. We just don't know. There's so many different variants of our variants that speculating is almost a disservice because I'm sure Marvel will give us some information in time. It's just they're going to beat around the bush because normally we don't get a reveal this large 3 episodes in, especially on a show that are already said, yeah, we can easily do 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, maybe even 4. They This isn't like WandaVision where they're like, yep, 1 season, done, nothing else to worry about. We've got what we needed out of it. So
it's like a built-in retcon if they wanted it to be. Like, not that they're gonna retcon everything and stuff like that, but if something goes awry in the MCU, if you have Loki and the TVA, like, you don't have to be Loki, you can continue a whole TVA series like that. The TVA is there to reset timelines and fix stuff. Like, it could literally be a massive reset at any point in time, in which dealing with Kang the Conqueror, who we know is supposed to be coming and stuff like that. At the end of this entire freaking Kang storyline, we could have a massive freaking reset to the sacred timeline for all we know. So
and then yeah, at the same time, the more we figure out about the TVA, it's like I kind of want to start being like sacred with the timeline. I kind of want to throw those air quotes around. I'm like, who's making the decisions on this? Because like, there's so much propaganda going into that. We literally just believe like, yeah, TVA is just a thing. It's been around forever. It makes perfect sense. And they're like, no, no, no. We're just pulling people throughout history to come work for us. And it's like, but a lot of this history seems recent. It doesn't seem like it's been around for you know this long period of time that they keep saying it has. But there's so much to do with TVA and what they have going on. I don't want to get too sidetracked on that, so let's pull back to the train. Was there any?
Vista.
You're still on that with your boy. Maybe he will show up. Maybe he won't. We don't know. But for the train scene, was there anything that stuck out to you, like any highlight where he was like, "Oh, that's funny," or "That's a really interesting detail to point out"?
Uh, the train so at that freaking, I think when they were kind of sitting there and they're kind of going back and forth with their the parallels, so to speak, trying to understand each other and see what's going on, where the magic comes from. And I think that, it started back when they were walking, so that he was asking the question. It's like, I'm still interested to know where her magic comes from and what it's about. So at that, because again, we got the confirmation that yeah, she is Sylvie, and Sylvie, kind of goes to Sylvie Lushton, which goes to Enchantress, and so at that, which it's like, okay, well, what timeline are we going with here? So that, how is she Enchantress? So that, playing freaking Loki, they share you know, same variant signature. So that's like, what is going on? So I was pretty much staring at that scene repeatedly. So that I kind of paused and looked at it, rewound it a little bit, just I'm trying to understand stuff going on, but I couldn't really pull too much out of it. It's more or less just flat out, what you got is what you got, as far as character building, and that was it. So
Yeah, because we both trying to pull red string, put it up on the board, be like, all right, cool, we found this first, we got this earliest, but they're feeding us such minuscule amounts of information that it's kind of hard to pull anything concrete, and a lot of us ended up looking pretty bad at the end of WandaVision. So like being able to red string certain ideas has been kind of difficult to do because the sequence before Sylvie ends up taking her nap I thought was pretty interesting. Like they almost lock up and it looked almost like we were gonna have like a Boys season 2 episode where Homelander was gonna kiss Homelander. Like it was literally Loki on Loki. Action was like maybe that far away, and then they started like kind of delving down. Like, did you have any prince or princesses in your life? And Loki was like, yeah, but I assume it's the same for you. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, Loki's bisexual. It's such a big thing. Loki's gender fluid. There's so many different variations. If he didn't come out as bisexual, it'd be kind of like weird. And if also you know Norse mythology at all, Loki's done some shady, shady things. Like if you go back to even the first Thor movie, how Odin rides in to Loki's homeworld on a six-legged horse. In Norse mythology, Loki is the father of that horse. He turned himself into a horse, did the bad thing. That offspring is Odin's horse. So that's basically like everyone's like, this is a huge thing. It's nice that they're having a character come out this way, but we have other characters in the MCU who already are, so it's not like the world's biggest shocker. So I'm not trying to downplay it, but at the same time, it's like if you know Norse mythology, Loki's literally, if you're breathing, he's akin to Zeus. He will do what he pleases when he pleases. He's the god of mischief for a reason, folks. It's just kind of what it is. The other interesting thing is like when Sylvia wakes up from her little nap, whatever that was, like was that an enchantment? Like did he get her or did she get him? Because we saw her magic on his neck, but then she was like, "What the heck is that?" Like, did he just pull out an Uno card and reverse it?
Yeah, I was wondering and stuff like that. Freaking, did she, because she showed she was tired. Did she fall asleep and freaking did he get the job for her? Because all it needs a second. If she just nods for a second, it's like, bam, got you. And then what happens there? Everything that we could have seen after that could have been a dream, freaking whatever he made up in his head. He could not even be that. Like I don't know. Like so many things can go sideways from that point. Like everything we could see literally for the next couple episodes could be literally in her imagination. So she wakes up at the last 5 minutes of 6 and she's handed over to Renslayer or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like we don't know, and with the god of mischief having a double, you don't know who's in charge. You don't know why it's happening. Just you know that one or both of them has a plan, and one of them is trying to screw over the other while trying to work it. So the interesting thing when Sylvie did ended up waking up, she was confronting Loki because he was drunk, and all he said was, "No, I'm full." And if you understand Norse culture, they don't say they're drunk. They just say they're full, and that means they are in fact hammered. So that was an interesting thing. And then the callback to the first movie of Thor as well, when Loki's like, another! And smashes his drink down. I was like, I just thought that was kind of like a Thor thing. I feel like he would be the one who'd be rowdy and rambunctious at the bar, but turns out Loki's that same exact thing.
That's just them in general.
It's like they party hard, they do their magic hard. Like this, it's Asgard. They just do what they do. Everything they do is just on a bigger level. Let's see. And then as you move throughout, you get confronted by the guards with the ticket reference, which was Indiana Jones. I don't think a lot of people caught that. I was like, tickets, get your tickets. It was like they just wanted to make an Indiana Jones reference because, again, Harrison Ford was in Blade Runner. They really like Blade Runner, so, keep carrying on that theme throughout. Then we get to the fight scene where they get confronted for not having tickets. Loki gets ejected from the train rather roughly because, he literally is just escorted like a drunk person by a bouncer at a bar. He's grabbed by his britches and yeeted out of that thing. He lands the same way he landed in Thor Ragnarok when he's falling and he just flat full hair flip. I've been falling for 30 minutes. Just like that doesn't feel like that length of time, but all right. And then Sylvie eventually just kind of gets yeeted out much the same way. They continue their walk and they go into town to try and get aboard this spaceship. to leave the planet, and Sylvie's kind of like, yeah, no one escapes. It's like, well, there's a spaceship, so somebody had to escape. And I don't know about you, but I really liked almost a shot for shot to make it look fluid on the whole scene throughout that town.
I mean, it looked good, so like that. I like the entire the run through, and so like that up until the shocking point where it's like, oh shit, like can't go nowhere. So it looked clean all the way through. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, because it turns out, I guess that was like 6 or 7 different shots, but they shot it in such a way that it feels like it's just one long, continuous take, which I'm just now learning how to like actually edit stuff. So seeing that level of doing it on such a large scale is absolutely crazy. We got Loki once again showing that he has the power of telekinesis and to a very strong level. The building's falling. He literally just his magic doesn't even appear. He just kind of gives it like a little magic push without actually showing his magic. Pushes the whole building right back up, which that does not look like a very light building in any context. Because in Thor: The Dark World, he uses telekinesis to shatter the room when he found out his mom died. He used telekinesis early on in the second episode when he pulled the weight to him to use it as a weapon. And now he's once again using his telekinesis to stop and propel a building that would have literally killed him and Sylvie right back on up. They fight their way through up to the ultimate climax that you're talking about. The spaceship that they need to get off the planet because the wristband has been destroyed is just absolutely eviscerated by a meteor. Which, that, I was kind of sitting there, I was like, there's no way Marvel's just going to do that to us 3 episodes in. And that's when it kind of went back to what you were talking about. Someone's pulling an enchantment somewhere. There has to be. At this point, there is no other way out. Unless one of them's hiding something. Like another wristband or another something. They were just killing time to try and delve deeper into each other's character.
You can't kill time. I like Miss Minutes.
Well, yeah, no one's going to dislike a Tara Strong character. I mean, that's just kind of... That's who she is, and that's
Tara
what her
Strong,
career
if
is.
you're watching this, just know that I love you.
Just know that all geeks everywhere love you. It's like, we appreciate the work and dedication she's put in the industry, because, I mean, she has her own, like, subgenre of character that she is just... If you think anything of this genre, Tara Strong has to have voiced it somewhere at some time. So we appreciate her as Miss Minutes. I'm not sure Miss Minutes can be necessarily trusted because the whole TVA is kind of suspect at this point. They've been acting a little sus. I'm not really feeling that. In your mind, how do you think they escape this fate?
I got 3 possibilities off the top of my head because I didn't really think about it. I'm just kind of waiting. One, somebody's watching a timeline. That's one of the timelines that the Charge are sent to branch off the timeline, stuff like that. Then freaking Mobius and them maybe they see what's going on. They see where all the branches are, so they may be checking every timeline. They may jump in and see, hey, come this way. And I think it'd be like if Mobius does it, it'll be him solo kind of getting them out of there to figure it out. Because if it's everybody else, they're just going to get
arrested and put on trial. And
they're going to get sticked on sight. Freaking a whole little time stick. So that's one. That's the biggest one, I think. 2, so at that, again, it's all an illusion. It's not really going down yet. So when they figure out another way to get off the planet, and that's like, oh, the rocket didn't blow up, so like that, because everything was an illusion to get you to think that, but we still make it to the rocket in time to get off or some shit. And number 3 would be they find some way to charge that the TEM pad, whatever, and use that to get out of there. This guy's some juice, because I don't think, like Loki showed it broken. Again, illusion. I don't think it's broken. I think he just kind of showed her what he needed her to see, so that he can kind of keep things going in the background. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, but I really do like possibility number 1 because I know they've shown us some footage from stuff moving forward that Sylvie will eventually be, collared up, chained up, and she will be being led by the TVA forward. So to get to that point, you would need somebody like Mobius like trying to pull them, and Mobius probably not knowing what he should because the TVA has some level of brainwashing on everybody, would end up having to lead her up to Renslayer and the higher ups, and that may be how we end up actually meeting the Timekeepers. The second one is pretty good too because there's just not a lot of other information to go off of. It's literally, this is all an enchantment, or someone's gonna pop in, pull them out, and that way it still wouldn't fracture the actual timeline that we have going on, because this was all supposed to happen anyway, which would be kind of weird in of itself, that the TVA would get duped in order to, come back and do this. So there's a lot of different things going on. It was weird that Marvel would kind of box themselves in like this, considering how open and fluid they've been throughout different aspects of their cinematic universe. So, is there anything else that really stuck out to you in episode 3? I didn't get as much information as I really would have liked to have had, and I was still pretty much hung over on episode 2.
I don't think there's much else that I could think of that freaking really stands out so like that. I mean, I think there's other characters that can be referenced to Lamentus and stuff like that. Like Quasar and Moondragon, the Phi LaBelle version of Quasar, so like that. So in Moondragon, for people who don't know, relation to Drax. So it's like there's different things going on there, in my comic book mind, but nothing that Marvel concretely said. So it's kind of like, I'm just along for the ride right now.
Because isn't Lamentus in the comics anyway right by Xandar, which just is post Thanos getting obliterated basically? Because the last time we saw the Power Stone, it was there. Next thing we know, Thanos has it. We're not assuming he asked nicely and they gave it up. So could we have assumed Lamentus 1 is kind of like an after planet or like an outworld planet that at one point in time Xandar kind of had as like an outpost, and it's kind of fallen in ruins due to the fact, the Xandarian Empire is kind of in the garbage at the moment.
More or less. It's about that. You remember most of the stuff taking place, a lot of stuff takes place between the actual planet itself and the moons and stuff like that. So it's kind of here nor there. I just want to know what they got going on. But again, this is more reference to the Kree freaking and the Skrulls and stuff like that in their ongoing war too. So
there's a lot of different things going on. Moving forward to episode 4, is there anything you would like to see specifically, or there's something you're just looking forward to on the horizon?
I want to see some more of what's going on TVA. Like, I want to see what Mobius knows. I want to see what Renslayer knows. For that, them two are my top priorities right now. Like, I need to see what's going on in their heads and what transpired after, the Lokis jumped through the portal. It's like, what are they doing?
Yeah, because I feel like episode 4 is basically going to start with, Mobius still back at the Rocks cart, and be like, okay, cool, we're going to go back to the TVA, we're going to assess the situation. Loki and Sylvie will be hiding on a planet that's probably doomed anyway, like they have been previously, and they'll probably go pick them up like you were talking about, because now that formed a logical opening in my mind. I don't think Mobius actually knows anything of what's going on. I feel like he's under the illusion just as much as everybody else. He's just been there a little bit longer, so he's got some more insight due to his whatever relationship, friendship, whatever it is you want to call it with Renslayer. I do agree that Renslayer, though, she knows some shit. She hasn't told anybody. So there's got to be something going on with that in general. But for me personally, I want to kind of delve more into Sylvie's character. I want to see more about her still. I still don't know enough to make an accurate assessment on the character. I really like the job the actress has been doing, Sophia DiMartino. She's been doing a very, very good job with the character. I want more stuff thrown out, like maybe go back to her childhood, see what she was talking about, see what she went through, see why she became what she was. Because we know Loki without Frigga would be just an absolute a-hole. Frigga is the only part in him that is even remotely good. But at the same token, Frigga was the one who trained him in magic and made him as strong as he was, as much of a problem as he's been through the cinematic universe. So it was like, a good and a negative at the same time. I just want more with Sylvie. I don't think we really have anything much more to discuss. So for Loki episode 3, leave your thoughts in the comments, leave a like, check out that subscribe button, and then be sure to ring that notification bell so you get up-to-date content and everything we've been doing. We launched a new show called What's the Topic? Myself, Will, and Tony sat down and talked about comics. We've got Throwback Thursday coming back on the horizon. We still have Gag on These Bulls going proudly. And we have more of our draft series coming whenever the editing process gets finished with that, because that is a lot of good stuff. Will's already looking forward to the next draft on the horizon, which will be right in my wheelhouse, which is why I'm actually very happy. For Grown A Geeks, I've been Brent. We have the man, the myth, and the stressed out Marvel, Will Parker. Thank you for stopping by.